he's innocent, and it's up to the state to bring evidence and a jury to decide if that's different.
Essentially convicted in the media. You don't have to read but a few articles to see how negative they are about him. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian is innocent.
They call it the August effect. A quiet pull, a heart's compass, finding its gravitation. A promise whispered to the future. Sunrise paints the window pane a hazy gold. A story in my chest that's waiting to unfold. Used to trace the lines of maps I'd never seen. Now the greenest pasture grows from deep within. Letting go of every anchor, every chain, washing off the dust in cool September rain. This is the freedom, wild and new, the future calling, breaking through. A heart's true north, the sky of blue. This is the promise coming true. The road ahead is unwritten, vast and wide. No need to run, no reason left to hide. Every step a choice, every breath my own. On this open field of chances I have sown. This is the freedom, wild and new, the future calling, breaking through. A heart's true north, a sky of blue. This is a prominent true. The August effect, I understand it now. It's the faith you find somehow. The promise coming true for you. The greenest pasture, free.
Well, good morning, Nesters. I'm Phoenix, your host here at Phoenix Talks, and we are ready to rock and roll on this Freedom Friday. I always have to do the housekeeping, and I hope you guys are having an amazing Friday. Are you ready for the end of the week? Drop a yes or a no. If you are in the corporate America arena, if you are sitting at your desk right now, if you are driving, please don't. If you're just tuning in, I have to give you a legal disclaimer here. This content is for informational commentary and entertainment purposes only. All opinions are those of the creator and based on publicly available information, interpretation, and speculation. Nothing stated is intended to accuse, defame, slander, harm, or any person, entity, or organization. All individuals are presumed innocent, unless, of course, in their own words, they are guilty, and until proven guilty in a court of law. Yay! All this is not legal, medical, or professional advice. Viewers, please do your own research and form your own conclusions. By watching, you acknowledge, and all discussion is alleged, speculative, and subject to this disclaimer. And of course, we have the copyright and fair use notice. If it is public, I am going to be using it. I am not intending to infringe on anybody's rights. All right. So let's get into it this morning. I am so excited to be here for Freedom Friday. First, we're going to start out with receipts. I told you, I promised you I would get this to you yesterday. Here, my friends. And anybody, I'm going to drop the link below so that you guys can see for yourselves. Always do your own research. Let me throw this up on the stage. And I am going to go ahead and do a search. This is the web portal for Oregon. If you ever want to look up any criminal records or any case records, go right ahead. And let me just let that load for a minute. And I am actually going to welcome y'all in. How could I forget you guys? Oh my gosh, I'm going to put you up on the screen too. Whoop, whoop. One of those kind of days. So here, hey, Jethro, good to see you. No talkie before coffee. Tammy, good to see you back. Love you too. Making Chevy Square again. I agree they should. Donna Rosa, welcome in. Logical Realist. I love that name. Welcome in. Hey, Brenda, good to see you. Thank you, sweetheart. My husband just brought me a protein chocolate shake with peanut butter. Okay. And some fresh, what do we have? Plain sourdough today this morning. And yes, I made it yesterday. Italians dolt better. Hello and TGIF. Cheryl, welcome in. Happy Friday. The more that comes out, the more with this case sickens me over what not done. Oh, I agree, Cheryl. Welcome in. You're going to find a lot more. Howdy, Phoenix. We have the savviest, trendiest mod squad in the internet and the whole wide world. Yes, Lulu Bell. Welcome in. Dina, good to see you. Fabulous Friday to you too. And I hope that you guys are you going to blow our mind again? My goal isn't to blow your mind, but to drop them fireballs. Let people run and hide. We are ready. Hey, Peony. Donna Rosa. And I'm glad you made it, Lola Garcia. We have the amazing community here, guys. We really do. Welcome in, beautiful people. I just dropped the link for the portal for Oregon website. It is public. You know, most of these should be public in your area. Hopefully they are. And yes, my husband is fabulous, guys. I got lucky. They broke the mold when they made him. I'm telling you, I got freaking lucky. Hey, Caleb, good to see you. Ink Mama says, hello, beautiful people. Hello. Hello, gorgeous. All right. So I promised that I would get Steve's Oregon record for you. And here it is. And Steve G, he was born, let me just look at this. Hold on a minute. This record says that this individual was born in 1973. All right, so let's go and let's see if Steve G is born in 1973. And let me type in his whole last name. That's how I'm going to verify if this is Steve G. And what's the first thing that comes up? Holy free holy. Steve G. Biography and public profile. Steve G. was born October 8th, 1973 in Rathdrum, Idaho, according to IMDb. What? Hold on a minute. Interesting. That's what IMDb says. Well, let's go back to this one. And yada, yada, yada. Boom, 1973. Okay, I think we got the right guy here. So let's go back to the Oregon Judicial Department online search results. All right, State of Oregon lead attorney was Derek Ashton, and he lists his name as Junior, but it's also alias Stephen Anthony Gonzalez. Stephen Anthony, date of birth 1973, and the public defender for this case in, what year was this? 92. 92 was Paul William Newton was his public defender. So he had a public defender in this case. And what were the charges? Felony class theft in the first degree, criminal mischief in the second degree, misdemeanor class A, and felony theft in the first degree, felony class C. Those were 3 charges. All right. They took a plea. He pled guilty, theft in the first degree. Don't know what he stole. I could file and ask for this whole file. Of course, it'll cost me a few bucks. And we could probably see what it all is about if they release it. Okay, so it was the state of Oregon versus Steve G. Now, he pled the disposition. They convicted him, so he has a record. And the other 2 charges were dismissed because he took the plea deal. So Steve G knows what the court system is. He knows what a plea deal is. He knows they drop charges. And it looks like he did community service. He had to pay some money. $85 was waived. Restitution was $235.98. Don't know what was stole. And he had some community service work. 18 months probation. Comment. It looks like the indictment said there was $12,500. I don't know if it was cash. I don't know if it was items. Don't know what it was, but obviously the state of Oregon charged him. And then he was released after arraignment. And then it looks like serviced arrest warrant. A warrant was served. Then it was removed, and then comment to appear court signed Judge Bearden. He was appointed counsel, case management, certification for trial, convicted and dismissed. Entered a plea, and it went through another judge. And then he pled guilty at the trial, and there was a comment of the arrest that was made in 9/23/92. And let's just see what else. Probation violation. So not only was he found guilty, took a plea deal, but then he was probation violation. And a warrant was issued, I suppose, for his arrest. A bench warrant was issued in 93. And then the court had a hearing on probation violation. And they determined a year later that the probation was met and terminated. Wow. And it says no victim information. It says victim information. So I don't know who the victim was in this. Yeah. Steve Sr. is a junior, folks. Steve Sr. is a junior. Steve Jr. is probably the third. I'm just saying. This is according to the record. So there you have it. Receipts proven. I knew I had it. I just had to go back and look through my repository and go through the Oregon repository. Anyone can go and check this. Is there any other people in here? I don't know. Hold on. I'm still waiting on word back from California. They're a little bit different. They're not like they're not like other states. Let me see if there is a Christy in here. I don't think so. In 93, that wasn't her last name. So let me see. I'm just curious to see if Nathan was in Oregon too at the time. Nathan Daniels. I don't think, is his middle name Daniels? Nathan Daniels. Burglary in the second degree. Oh, wow. Hold on a second. Were those the same? Were they stealing together? Hold on. I don't want to say anything wrong or misleading to you. I want to get the first date. When was that? No. Two different. Offense, felony. Were they raised in Oregon? He was born in 1975. So if this is Steve's brother, let me just check this repository that I have. If this is in fact Steve's brother, They have a history of stealing. This one says this guy was born in 1975, so 3 years later. And let me see what pops up for him. Oh, Nathan. Nathan in 2017. So the brothers are both thieves, according to the repositories. All right. Born 1975, July 28th. Arrest, Portland Police, Oregon, second degree. He was 42. No bail, no bail. Another arrest, another arrest. Wow. We know, in fact, that Stephen and Cheryl put in a protection order against him in 2015. And transient man faces a murder charge. Nathan, 50, in Oregon. Yep. So there you go. All right. So this is legitimate. So then you know what all the charges are. Burglary, first degree, felony, mischief, trespass, guilty, dismissed. So he took a plea. They charged him with 2, dismissed with 2, convicted. This is a straight sentence per the judge. County jail, time served. And restitution, revoked and reinstated. So there's a criminal background. There's some stuff going on here. And kind of what my pattern recognition is, this isn't new, right? You could have done something wrong and cleaned up your life where you just didn't get caught. Harassment, disorderly conduct, second degree. Harassment doesn't say who the victims are. Usually it won't. Final restitution, that's the brother. I wonder if Steve's brother had anything to do with this crime. I'm wondering. Criminal trespass, second degree. Again, in 2017, he had another charge. Criminal mischief, disorderly conduct. Wow. And the most recent one that was in Oregon was in 2017, burglary, theft, and the third degree criminal mischief. Guilty. 18 months, probation supervised, served 2 days in jail. Yeah, interesting. Treatment completion. Looks like they made him to go through some type of treatment. You know, and that makes me wonder, knowing this, and this is just Oregon. This is just Oregon. I haven't even looked at Idaho or Washington. This is just the Oregon today. And I wanted to give you that update because yesterday I couldn't pull it up in time, but now you have it. There it is on this Freedom Friday. You are welcome. Who did he rat out? Whew, that's a big speculation there. Wow, you read my mind. Mr. G has some explaining to do. 2 days and probation. Make it make sense. Well, you know, Ink Mama, I've said this before, and unfortunately, you know, in speaking with district attorneys in many states, they have to determine who they're going to put behind bars, who they're going to leave on the street. That's sadly just the way it goes sometimes. Just the way it goes. How did he not serve 15 to life? Usually theft and robbery are longer sentence, even with the plea. That seems odd. Well, it depends on what the theft was, right? If they were allegedly part of some theft ring, then you bring in the little fish that brings in the bigger fish, that brings in the bigger fish, that brings in the bigger fish until you get to the biggest fish, right? So maybe they made some plea deal and they didn't get the worst of it. Burglary, maybe BK was investigating. Bing, ding, 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 ding. And Lulu Bell, you done it.
You are the greatest of all time. The drum.
So with that being said, you guys are so freaking amazing. Yesterday I said we are going to go down the rabbit hole live. We are going to look because yesterday the professor with the plan said that BK wasn't interested in the sexual assault burglary portion of it. He was just interested in burglary. All right. Now, let's all understand what burglary is. It's not, well, I mean, you enter into a building illegally, whether it be a house, a business, and with the intent to commit a crime. And that is theft, right? Theft. You are going in and you are gonna go steal something. All right. Now, when you understand, yeah, Lulu Bell's been on fire for the last 2 days. She must be feeling better. Phoenix, there's a federal case. Yes, I understand there is, John Away. Absolutely. There is, yep, there's federal cases against the cops. Remember, Stickergate was against the cops. Doug Wilson went and we've talked about this case before. Doug Wilson won, his son. So there's a history in this area. It seems like good versus evil. And I'm just going to put it out there and say that. I wonder how close does Doug Wilson live to Steve G? How close do they live? What a clash it would have been. It could be Giglio material. It could be, but I'm no attorney. I'm not going to give any legal advice. In my opinion, it could be. And I know other attorneys have talked about this before because they tried to have a Franks hearing. And remember, Ann Taylor was very spot on. She was like, we need these officers' records. And it's interesting that you say that. At the Franks hearing, I think I have a clip. I think I made a clip. And I think I have it in my repository as that. Where is this? There was a video. Did I put that out there on the Franks hearing? Let me just take a peek at this real quick. Okay, here's the video. Let me just pull this up real quick. And at the Franks hearing, she was very clear that we need in front of Judge. Okay. And she basically, where did I put it? Hold on. Let me see if I've got it here. She basically said, hey, we need all these officers' training records. We need to see what they're certified in. We need to see if they've had any reprimands. They wanted to see all their police records. And you know what? Still didn't get it. They didn't get that discovery. They didn't get that. And so, yeah, that hearing was pretty pivotal. And Judge basically, he didn't say you need to get all this information to them by X, Y, and Z date. I never heard of what happened in the outcome of that hearing. That would be interesting to do a follow-up. And maybe you can ask Kathy IndieZone, because that was one of the hearings that I did, I mean, watching Judge, and he was like, didn't make any ruling, right? Just take it under advisement. We never saw anything else again. Kind of like the investigation, never saw anything else again. Push it to the side, forget it. Maybe people will forget about it. And I think Kathy IndieZone, she had something on the Franks hearing. I think she had something else on the Franks hearing. So I'll look into that. And here's the deal. Yeah, what a way to trample on BK. Yeah, not even discovery. You know, they had a discovery date they missed it 21 times and kept asking for better discovery, more clear discovery, hand over what you got. And it just seemed horrible. So let's get into this today. So Lulu Bell brought up a great point. We heard the professor with the plan, and her colleagues were after Kohberger to get him out of that position. Did they not understand him? Perhaps they just thought he was misogynistic, that he mansplained everything. Maybe it was his upbringing from the East Coast to the West Coast. Very different cultures, people. very different cultures. But I was interested to look at Big Country News, and that's the blotter for Moscow, because the police move it over after a little while. And I started looking at June. Kohberger got there July, right? And he took this position, this TA position, with a purpose. I mean, if you have a great opportunity, and remember, only 2 people were ever recommended for these positions, these teaching positions. And on the back end of that, there had to have been some connection, because we do read the MPD, the interview with Gilbertson and Payne, to where Kohberger said, hey, you guys look familiar. Payne, you look familiar. You're a patrol officer. That made me think that Brian Kohberger was either one, doing his own research, because he knew that these witches, and I'm just using that as a general phrase, over at Washington State University were after him, and he may have never been able to do a dissertation if they were trying to get rid of him. And he had already known that. He picked up on what they were doing, alleged. And not only on top of that, when I said a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago, even 6-7 weeks ago, that we need to break the matrix, I believe Kohberger broke the matrix, okay? When you start to think about it, if he was doing his own profiling, his own work, he had a scanner. We saw that from Danny Vargas. He had Broadcastify, which is very popular to look at your own county and see what's going on in his county. And so Big Country News obviously has the blotter for Moscow. So when you go and you look at the police logs, blotter, whatever you want to call it, you can go and see what activity is going on in the area. So I went back probably, let me grab my list. Moscow. Let me just see where I put it. And yeah, Tammy, I know you're with me on that, because not only that, but we've also looked at all the annual police reports for Moscow, and it looked like burglary was up. Okay. But remember, and this is hypothetical, I'm just thinking Out loud here. August 2022. So August 2022, August, September, October, all the way up until November, up until where the lady calls in and says, somebody's been in my car. That's theft, right? You break into somebody's car and stole my underwear, and some things were missing, and, you know, the suitcase was out in the road. That's theft. That's not necessarily saying it was Brian Kohberger that did that. We're not saying that. What if he was watching these people all over do this type of theft? We know that he was probably on the boards at the college. We know that he was probably on Yik Yak. We know that maybe he was listening into the blotters. And we know that now his back's up against the wall with the women over at Pullman. He knew that if he continued to do this research that maybe he would never be able to do, Pullman Police Department was so small, campus would know who he was. And my whole thought process to this is that instead of doing research at WSU, he moved over to the instead of Pullman area, he moved over to the Moscow area and started analyzing, documenting the crime that was going on in Moscow. Maybe he didn't get the job with Pullman. Maybe they did give it to someone else. I don't know who they gave it to. They've never announced who that was. But in going through and putting this all together, I went through the Pullman emails. And I know all of you are very astute here in the nest. Who was suspect number 1 in this case? If anybody drops it below, I'm going to enter you into the $50 giveaway drawing for Amazon this month. Who was suspect number 1 on the radar? If you guys remember suspect number 1, I'll give you a minute to answer while I pull this up. Suspect number 1 in the emails from Pullman. Now, I'll give you a refresher real quick here. I'll give you a refresher. If you go to my channel, and this isn't like, I Spy. If you go to my channels under either, I think it was a live. It was a live. And I got the documents early. And let me show you what was in those documents that I shared with you. And I labeled it Pullman 4, okay? Because this happened in October of 21 in Pullman. Remember the house with the college girls? Yes. I'm just going to jot your memory here. The girls the house was broken into, the neighbor next door or I'm going to was the Pullman 4, and it was indeed Jose Cruz. Okay? No sound on your end. Dang it. I hate when it does that. All right. Having trouble connecting. Can you hear me now? Audio. Yes. Drop a 1. Yes, you did say Jose right there. Jose Cruz was the number 1 suspect in this case. How did they get this guy's name? Okay. They got it because the girl that was being interviewed in the Pullman 4, I know it's in here somewhere. IDAHO4 Pullman Part 2, that was Email Gate. I labeled it Pullman 4. I know it's in here somewhere. Here it is. Is that Pullman 4? Pullman 4 emails and the response. Okay, so we talked about this. They didn't arrest him. Let me just see the emails. So I went back through the emails last night and I kept saying, how in the world could they have gotten KOHBERGER's name? And guess what? Yes, he smoked. Yes, he smoked. And they took the cigarettes that they found from his apartment, right? From wherever, that they were following this guy in Pullman from somebody's apartment. But they also took the cigarettes from the backyard in IDAHO4. And it was not Jose Cruz's DNA. Jose Cruz had nothing to do with Moscow. Nothing to do. But the Pullman Police Department is the only police department that would have been able to call Moscow and say, hey, I think, wasn't an orange paper, I think you need to be looking for Jose Cruz to see if there's any connection. Okay, any connection to this Idaho and not know the motive, because there was a break-in in Pullman in October of 21, and I think that maybe there is some type of connection, and that is where they got Jose's name. All right. So then, where Sasshole, I got you entered into the drawing. Let me just write this down real quick. Congratulations, you are
the greatest of all time.
And I think you're the only one that said it first. And yeah. Okay. Now, there's another side to this. And somebody else asked me, sorry, that was my ergonomic chair. There was another connection that I saw. Yes, congratulations. There's another connection that I saw in regards to Pullman. So Pullman gives them Jose Cruz. No connection. Then Pullman gives them the homeless guy living out of his car, and then they release all those documents. That's in that same one. And nope, wasn't that guy either. They went out, investigated him, and nothing happened. Okay? So here it is. Pullman 4. Morning. How odd is this? This is the 3:30 time frame I have said from day one is when this same 3:30 time frame, 10/10/21, officers responded to 305 Northeast Ash Street. And this was the house. Remember, we went all around and just learned all kinds of things about Pullman, right? We went and we did a rabbit hole rapid fire session with the documents, with the body cams. We looked at everything they had in regards to local, the eating establishments where this guy worked. Jose Cruz worked there. His buddy said that they went out to the bar, but Jose said that he spent the night on his buddy's couch. It wasn't true. And cops caught on to that. Then they go out and they get the body cam, and we reviewed it later on. But in the documents themselves, the chief of police said, well, if it wasn't Jose Cruz, then we're going to go and we're going to look at this other guy who was a homeless dude. Wasn't him either. They went out and they gathered all his knives and they looked at all this stuff. And I'm sure behind the scenes, they were testing all this evidence and nothing came up. And they realized, oh, we can't charge somebody if there's no evidence, right? We can't, but we have to have somebody who's done this. So lo and behold, I think that's when they all got together at some meeting. They didn't know who did this. They couldn't have any idea. No documentation was coming back whose DNA it was yet. There was nothing going until that fabulous day, December 10th, when they all sit down and they have a meeting, and it's in the emails. And they say, wait, we're going to have to do something here. Our communities are up in arms. We got parents sending us emails. We have students sending us emails. We have professors. We have our own people sending us emails. They are scared. They don't want to be in this area if they know that there is a serial killer running around. Okay? Yes, Pullman put everyone out on blast. They said, do not release this document. Do not tell anybody about this. Payne even sent him an email. Do not share this outside of the police department. If you see this car, let us know. Don't call it in over dispatch. Don't put it on the airwaves, because they knew people were listening in to Broadcastify. Okay, broad, whatever it is in that area. It's interesting that instead of looking at the immediate people around them, it seems like they chose to pinpoint everyone except truly the people involved in the evidence. Abso-freaking-lutely, Inked Mama. We're seeing that 100%.
You are the greatest of all time.
And speaking of evidence, we've seen that in the expert reports, right? Their names were mentioned. Their names were mentioned in the expert reports, especially with the geolocation. And what did they do? Oh my goodness. What did they do? Instead of taking that information, they hide that information. It's hidden in plain sight. They take that and they look at the phone records of two individuals. I believe there was an overlapping one, but they take these two individuals and they put them in another report. Like I told you before, they put them in a totally different lab report, a totally different police report, and the phone records for both of those people were Jack Showalter and Jack Decor. Now, Brian Kohberger, obviously we know by now, is not the person that we're looking for. I believe the answers have always been right in front of us. And the only immediate phone that they could connect to, that mysterious ex-person that they were trying to hide for so long until Ann Taylor sent a freaking discovery in an email, whoever you have hidden, you need to expose them. And all of a sudden, all these creators started talking about who? Molly McMichaels. I don't know why I said McDaniels. Molly McMichaels. And that's who X was in the area. Molly McMichaels was the X phone that they tried to hide for so long because they were going to have her come and testify in court. But this is where they made a boo-boo. They didn't think anyone was watching or paying close attention. They didn't think the internet, they didn't think, and remember, we lived in a time before this happened with COVID. Let me ask you a question, chat. What were you doing during COVID while you were locked in the house? Were some of you working? Were some of you reading? Were some of you attending school online? Were some of you homeschooling? Were some of you just being homemakers? What were you doing during COVID? What were you doing? I hope you guys are feeling better. Absolutely. Painting. K.S. Jensen Art paints. She is a beautiful painter. If you get a chance, go look at her channel. I hope everyone is feeling better. Think about this for a second. What were people doing? Were people bored? Were they playing games online? They got us into this homeschooling my great nieces, working. Some people were working from home. I was working from home. What does that say? I was working from home and spending heavy amounts of time on YouTube and Netflix. Me too. I think they messed up with Brian. Absolutely. Worked in red. You worked in red. Okay. Yeah, I've always loved to read at least one book, 2 books a month, and I still do. And, oh, the free G for life. Thank you for the $10 in pounds. Hello, folks. I changed my username again. I was Hulk last week, but my new one sounds much better. The free G for life. Appreciate you so much. Thanks for being here. And buying, what was it? Burying my mom and selling her estate. Yeah, that would keep somebody busy. I'm sorry, no talkie before coffee. Yeah, I was still going to work. You were a nurse. You had to show up for work. You couldn't just say, hey, if you were part of that mandatory essential personnel, yeah. I mean, even with my son with autism, I had a note in case I got stopped on the road. I had to take him to his appointments. He still had to have his medication, still had to do what I needed for him. He still had to go to physical therapy, speech therapy, OT. He still needed those things. I still had to take him. Same thing, never wore a mask or got a poison jab. Yeah, I didn't either. Thank God. Absolutely. And, a lot of people didn't have a lot of choice. A lot of people lost their loved ones, parents, uncles, grandparents, alone. So when I say this, that the geolocation, that one phone belonged to Molly McMichaels, but they didn't want to let that out because that was going to be their star witness. To what? To saying that she saw the undercover cars? That's a scary thought. Because Brett Payne and the FBI girl that was interviewing Molly made her have some type of other further testing, and then they cut the interview short because they realized she was going to testify to seeing SV1 was actually the undercover car. And that's not even speculating. That's what's in the documents, folks. That's what's clearly in these documents. It is wild. Every single nurse, every single caregiver here, thank you for your service. Thank you for taking care of our loved ones who we couldn't get to. If anybody experiences that, I'm just going to say I'm going to pray a special blessing for you. Now, when you think of Brian Kohberger breaking the matrix, why I said this a couple months ago is because I think because of what he was up against in Pullman, he knew his days were numbered. Absolutely. These women are after me. It's like the Salem witch trials. They don't understand me. They don't understand how I operate. I'm going to call my mom and dad and see what they think. Maybe my sisters could help. Okay. So you start looking at the history of the burglary and thefts in Moscow. Maybe he was following burglary and thefts in Pullman. I don't know. But I started thinking about, are there any connections where there is a history in, let's just say, I don't know, throw a date out there. You guys, anywhere between, school started in August, September, October, November. Throw a date. I'll go check whatever month you want. September, October, or November. Throw a date out there and we'll all go down this together. Let's just see what they have. October, 29th of October. Well, that sounds like a really, oh my goodness, specific date. That sounds like a really specific date. October. Okay, I'll put in October 29th. Let's see what we can find. Was that the Halloween weekend? October 29, 2022. Let's just see if there's an activity log. And let's see this November report. November 13th, hit and run. I never seen this before. Oh, yeah, I have. Sorry. Hold on one second. Let me just grab this. I want to see burglaries, thefts. And because most of these have been scrubbed, let me just do a general for October 2022. Burglary news. Let's see. Gosh, it looks like they've deleted most of these. Hold on a minute. Let me see. This man was arrested in Moscow this morning wearing a construction company shirt. Charges yet to be released. Huh. That was 4 years ago. I'm trying to find the blotter, which most of these have been scrubbed, which doesn't make sense because usually they keep them up for a few years. Summary for July. Nope, page can't be found. Let me see if I can find 2022. Let me go also to the Moscow annual report. I'm going to bring up the maps too. I'm wondering if there's any correlation to Brian Kohberger being in the area that some of these alleged burglaries were taking place. Maybe it was part of the same ring that could have been, now it's not unheard of, could have been within the frats that we just talked about not too long ago. The guys that were busted for that. October 31st. What are we? I'm lost. Okay. We are looking for any correlation of Brian Kohberger investigating any type of burglaries on his own or under contract with someone, whatever, in relationship to any crimes happening in that area. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to see if there was an uptick in burglaries in 2022. And this is the annual report from Moscow PD. And they'll give a breakdown of all their crimes. And let's see if burglaries were up. Burglaries, 29, 7 offenses cleared. Offenses reported last year was 59. That's a lot for just a small area. Seems like a lot. And those are offenses reporting. Let's see what it says over here. Arrested, burglary, 14. Arrest all year, 22. Larceny, 72. So robbery, 0. So obviously burglary and larceny. Sexual simple assault, 40. Sexual, none. Gambling, embezzlement, prostitution, none. Sexual assault, there's none. So it's odd that he's not interested in sexual assault, but he's he's curious about burglary, which I think theft, larceny would probably fall in there too. And sexual assault, none. None. Human trafficking, commercial sex acts, none. Okay, we know that drug use, narcotics were high. So we're looking at major things in this area that include burglary, theft, which is larceny, and also drugs. We're not a fraud, 49. We're not really looking at trafficking, human trafficking, animal cruelty, 2. And then actual arrests, animal cruelty, 1. Drugs, simple assault, and burglary. That seems like the majority. Do we all agree? Drugs are high, burglary, theft in Moscow. Okay. So let me just see here. That's what's on their radar. Drugs 195, thefts 285. Thefts were higher than drugs, guys. So burglary, and think about the area, small condensed area, students come back in. People were saying all about the theft. My laptops were stolen, my tablets were stolen, phones were stolen, my stereo was stolen. Guys, there were tons of burglaries happening around campus. Way too high. I agree, Caleb. Way too high. And suspicious. I guess if you see somebody walking around, somebody, thefts and burglaries, burglary alarms, they break them out. Fraud, threatening, noise, harassment. Okay, so that makes sense that maybe Kohberger was interested in that. And you see the shift in the drugs. The drug of choice out there was methamphetamine. Then it goes from 596 seizures to 137, 74. But what rises? Fentanyl. Fentanyl pills, 0, and then on the rise. Cocaine was on the rise. The next year it was 32. Heroin, 66% increase. 66. From 2, that's more than 66% increase. And then marijuana, huge increase. 1 decreased, all the rest of them increased, except for fent, dropped. Okay? So obviously, their specialty, whatever you want to call them, units, OCD, TEF, they were going down with their canines, and they added on Ragnar. We talked about this before. So all of these were on the decline, but some of these were on the rise. That's what happens. So let me look and see. They didn't put any special teams involved. Let me just see what happened that year in 2022. Post Academy, leadership police records, confidential information, confidential informant management. Look at that, folks. In 2022, they probably had so many confidential informants that they needed to put in confidential informant management. Can you believe that? Wow. Trained in forensics, radar and LiDAR certification, FBI LEEDA supervisor leadership, active shooter response, which is interesting, and then an interagency SWAT. Why would you need to have a SWAT team there? They never had it before. And then some of these guys go on the SWAT team. Like, wasn't, what's his face? He came in from a SWAT team. Rosendahl. He came in from Bellevue, Washington. And then Detective Maury received recognition on 2 occasions, one from the Secret Service for all his work in digital forensics and cybercrime, but couldn't hand over anything over in the IDAHO4 case that could be used at trial? What? Wow. Wow. And then, of course, we go down through the people who work there. Gower Short. All the property that was seized and all the property that was sold at auction. Violations, animal-related calls. These are just miscellaneous. And that was their report for 2022. Now, here is the campus division, a separate part of the Moscow Police Department. Separate part. Campus. Rosinski, Tyson Barrett, Stirk, and they had a few others. Very interesting stats. I know we looked at these before. There's Ragnar. Oh, is excited to be back on the job. Look at that little do the crime, do the time. All right. So, operating a vehicle without a license. That's cute. Aiding and abetting theft. All right. So, I wanted to go in and look at the Moscow Police Department records and see if there was a large uptake in theft. And since we can't go to the individual logs, we went to their annual log. And sure enough, there was plenty of documentation. It was on the rise. So, how do we go and we look at the activity logs that they have scrubbed? Well, I mean, we can go all the way back and see what Moscow Police Department. I can ask for the records and get a list of June, July. So August, September, October, and November, and see, oh, and December, because I'm sure that that number in Moscow went down after the crimes took place at King Road. And the latest that you can get to load on their website is April 21st of 2025. No more articles to load. But when you go to the actual article, let's see if they pull them up. Yep, it does pull up. Here's an example of what we would go back and find. Yeah, no report taken. Remember, I made a song about no report taken. They were trying to cover everyone's butt. Yeah, absolutely. So when you go and you start looking, threatening. This call was a threatening call, and it tells you the block that it was at. Traffic violation, civil calls. It'll tell you a little bit more. Traffic hazard, wheel locks, found property, sex offense, malicious mischief, abandoned vehicle, parking problem, noise complaint, harassment, traffic violation, found property, threatening suspicious person, and you guys get the idea, right? I'll go back and I'll ask for those documents from that time for those two, burglary or theft. I'm wondering, at the time of Brian Kohberger's stop in Moscow with Deputy Duke, you guys remember that, right? Deputy Duke. I'm wondering if Brian was following perhaps somebody that was doing burglary or break-ins. Was he around the area where that absolutely was going on? Is that a possibility? I mean, drop your thoughts about this thought. You know, when they pull him over for running the light and then the other one for speeding, but yet they give him a seatbelt ticket. Let me see if I can bring this up too. Because they said they tracked him in the area certain days, certain nights. And here was the seatbelt.
The monster who.
Now, this one doesn't have. Let me go to Connor. Let me go see if Connor has. The actual date and timestamp on his channel. I would be curious to see. Let me see up there. Here is, let's see. I don't think they have his stop on here, do they? No, they don't have his traffic stop. And that one did not have his body cam. Let me see how I
absolutely no point not being honest.
The deputy tells Kohberger he's getting a
So this traffic stop is
Lincoln Frank Zebra 8649.
There's found Okie dokie for your next update.
Okay, can you hear me now? Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Let's try this one more time. Testing. Testing. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh. Boy, I was about ready to crash the heck out. Congratulations, everyone in the nest. We have reached a milestone for us. We have reached over 8,000 in subs. Congrats, everyone. Now, I'm so glad I'm back. I don't know what happened. I don't know how long I was gone for. What was the last thing that you remember hearing or seeing? Did you guys see all the connections to the robberies and the thefts in the area that I showed you from Bubbly Waters' page? She has a great repository of the actual police press logs. Okay? Did you guys get all that? Okay, yay! All right, we are ready to rock and roll. So there was a lot of crazy thefts, right? A lot of burglaries. I think perhaps even at the Grove and other locations, I think perhaps Brian Kohberger was surveillancing and studying crime in the area. Yeah. Okay. So you guys didn't get any of that. Okay. Well, I went to Bubbly's YouTube and I verified that she does have some old police logs and in regards to October 29th and the 30th. Okay. So I will share that. And congratulations, all of you, for this 8K in subs. This is absolutely amazing. We built a community strong. Okay. Now, this was on Bubbly Waters. I'll give you the link. Go and at least thank her, please, for this amazing repository because most of it is all deleted online now. So Saturday, the 29th of 2022, I know somebody said, hey, we want to see this. The activity going on in the area for that night. Let's just see. Suspicious person on 8th Street. Threatening on Pullman, Walmart. Traffic violation, Deacon. Just a typical Saturday night. Stray animals. Let's see if there's anything of value in regards to thefts, burglaries. Civil calls, 600 block. Let's see if there's anything else in here. I'm going to play this really super fast. Suspicious person on 3rd and Washington. Alcohol offense, Elm, Idaho. DUI drugs, Deacon. There's a lot going on in that town. Suspicious harassing female, traffic violation, complaint, trespassing, suspicious, 6th, suspicious person, John's Alley. Interesting. So I'm just wondering if Brian Kohberger was actually trying to do his own surveillance for his own, I don't know, dissertation, for his own, maybe he was contracted, I don't know. But I don't know if he had any activity. I don't think he got pulled over at all in Pullman, right? He's never had any stop in Pullman. We need that shotgun report. They have deleted, it doesn't look like Big Country reports more than 2 months under the police logs. And I'll show you this. And let me pull it back up. Big Country News shares the police blotter. And right under police logs, you can go Lewiston, Moscow. Sometimes they have Pullman in there. And the latest that they went back was, they don't go back years anymore like they used to. I think it's like a year. June. I think it's June, April, March 25, March 17th, 2025. But when you click on some of these even say not found, not available. Like here's just an incident from 2025, right? And this was March 16th. Alcohol, drugs at Logan, Ventura, law enforcement calls, traffic violation, civil, domestic. It looks like theft is totally down. Fraud, bad check, abandoned vehicle, agency assistance at Paradise Creek. A subject who was violent and made statements. No report. Property damage, non-vandalism. Deliver a message. Communications problem, theft. There's a theft. Stole her package off the porch. Stray animals, traffic violation. And the theft and the burglaries obviously went down per the reports too. But I wanted to see what was happening before the murders in the months of obviously August, September, October, November, and then even after. Because remember, there was that crime. What was it? The fraternity crime. Was it Beta? What was it? Hold on a minute. Here it is. This burglary case is officially closed. December U of I 2026. 6 University of Idaho fraternities were burglarized by 4 Moscow residents. So, I mean, if you go in and type, you could probably see a lot of what I'm showing you, these fraternity thefts in Moscow. This one is, these are the people who broke in there. A U of I freshman, Theta Chi, Moscow resident, unlawful entry and petty theft. Let me go to 2022. Let's see if we can find anything. There's no credible structure, no physical. Frat boys gone wild. What is that? 4 men arrested. We know about that. Question of disturbance. Reported a disturbance. Hold on a minute. Let me see what this says. Some question if reported disturbance outside a fraternity house not too far away. Oh, I never seen this one. 1 man, 3 students arrested for break-ins. Let's see this. Let's see this one. Let's see what this is about. University of Idaho murder. Some question if reported disturbance outside frat is connected to killings. What?
Into a
Hold
place
on a
of
second.
chaos. Where everything that could go
Oh.
does.
Oh, I found the unicorn. Guys, I found the unicorn. A mysterious call just after 3 a.m. sent cops rushing to the street the night Kaylee G, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan were stabbed to death. Police in Moscow, let me just write this. Never seen this. Police in Moscow reported a call about a disturbance outside a fraternity house not far from the home where the 4 university students were slain hours later. leaving some to question if there could be a connection between the victims. A mysterious call after 3 a.m. sent cops rushing to the street the night the four were stabbed to death. Police logs from a fateful night show officers responded to an alcohol offense in a sports field outside the Sigma Chi fraternity, which is a short walk. That would later be classified as a murder scene. The call came in at 3:01 around the same time investigators say the killings were carried out. Meanwhile, yeah, that's the one that was reported at 3:01. Wow. Let's see what this is.
Restoration, where our experts are ready, trained,
right,
and
come on.
equipped to restore your home.
I don't know if it'll let me play it. Dang it. Dang it. Restoration recovery.
To make things right. Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
A new twist in the slaying of those 4 University of Idaho students. We're learning now that just after 3 a.m, police got a call about a disturbance outside a frat house, just a short walk from the crime scene. The murders happened not long after that call. But is there a connection? Jim Murray reports.
A mysterious 911 call sent cops rushing to the street the night the 4 University of Idaho students were murdered. Police logs from that fateful night show a disturbance in this field outside the Sigma Chi fraternity. The Moscow, Idaho Police Daily Activity Log reveals officers responded to an alcohol offense at 3:01 a.m. That's right around the time police say the murders were committed. How close is that frat house to the murder scene?
So they changed the time of the killings to 4 a.m. because this stop was at 3.
Let me show you. Here's the frat house. You walk across the street and right through these apartment buildings. You then continue up this narrow path, and then you walk up these wooden stairs. And there you are, right at the house. We spoke with Brian Enton, senior national correspondent for the cable news channel News Nation, which is airing a 1-hour special on the case Sunday.
There's a lot of fraternity and sorority houses, and an alcohol call wouldn't be out of the norm. But it's still just weird to think about the fact that the police were so close to this house around the time the murders were happening.
In a Save It Today to Inside Edition, police said the incident is unrelated to the murders. The frat house is also under the microscope because 2 of the victims, Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle, partied there that night. Investigators are also revealing there was a 6th roommate who lived in the house who wasn't home at night. It was Ethan, Xana, Kaylee, and Madison, the 2 surviving roommates who slept through the attack, and now the 6th young lady whose name we are withholding. Detectives are aware of a 6th person listed on the lease at the residence, but do not believe that individual was present during the incident, a police statement says. There were scenes of raw emotion at a memorial service for all 4 victims at a church in Idaho. Among the mourners, Madison Mogan's boyfriend, Jake.
I know she's in heaven, and I can't wait to see her again. And
also classmates and sorority sisters.
My heart aches knowing I can't see her again in this lifetime. We'll find justice for you, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee. We love you all so much.
And Xana Kernodle's heartbroken dad.
She taught me a lot of stuff. She taught me how to be a dad. And I didn't know that until she was gone, you know?
The police chief has vowed to not let this case go cold, saying they will work continuously to find as many answers as they can.
Okay, so wow, I've never seen that either. But I am shocked, to say the least, that they wanted to take my video down in regards to whose dad this was. Does everybody remember this dancing video? That dude right there? Shoot. Let me go back. I didn't put it up on the screen. Hold on. This dancing video right here. This little dancing video that was up on a friend of Maddie's, the girl right here that we interviewed, we listened to her interview last week. This guy right here. Remember we went down the rabbit hole? We connected the dots. This was the alleged 6 roommates Dad. Her stepdad. Connected to that house. Yes. Stepdad connected to that house. And I have been searching everywhere. I believe, alleged, that he may be the connection. See, something had to intersect, cross. There's a bridge, there's a nexus, there's something connected to this. The crime was closer than they're telling us. Yep, Caleb. Right? Why would he be there if Ashlyn wasn't living there? That was said to be Maddie's party. I think she was probably there at the time, but not there that night. Wow. This is wild. Every day. Wild and wild. And African-American DNA, possibly this man in the video. Maybe. Yes. I believe, yes. I believe her name was still on the lease. And somebody said that they were moving in. And I don't know if she was dating Mason Barstow. A lot of these girls shared the same guys, okay? And Mason Barstow is the connection down in Caldwell, Idaho. That is probably the connection to some of what was moving around in the area. So if you remember, yeah, Sophia Whitehead, that connection was made like years ago. So, yeah, Lulu Bell, you're right. Late here. Hey, K-Cats girl, how are you? It is possible. I hate to see this video and say the man was a sugar daddy. No, he wasn't a sugar daddy. That was Ashlyn Couch's stepdad. And this was at Maddie's birthday party. My whole point to this is that there are some connections with adults. There are some connections that led the whole debacle of parents finding out who other parents were that these girls were living with. Okay. Now, real quick, I want to go over, since it is Freedom Friday, we have the freedom to be able to listen to a new interview that has been shared.
As I said earlier, my name is Gideon Roberts. I'm Detective General of State Police. My partner, Ryan O'Hara, also a detective with the State Police. Appreciate you coming down. The reason that we want to talk with you is obviously we're both involved in the investigation regarding the homicide here. So, of course, as we've been going through a lot of the digital evidence, a lot of the video, your vehicle, or what we believe to be your vehicle, was caught on a couple of cameras around that time frame. So, of course, as we work this, not only are we focusing on identifying what we believe to be someone or somehow involved, but any other vehicle that we see at any time surrounding there, we want to be able to identify and then just make sure we know who this was and mark it off. Cover our bases.
Yeah, totally. That makes sense.
So the evening of the 12th, early morning of the 13th, can you give me just a breakdown of your activities and your timeline?
Yeah, would have been, let's see, because it was Sunday when everything kind of took place. So it was the evening before, late. I was out with some buddies. We had basically went bar hopping that night, just for fun, like we do. And then we stayed out until the bars closed at until about whatever, I think it's 2:30, 2 o'clock is closing time. And then I walked with my buddy back to his place, which is over near so we walked from about, and then I drove home after I sobered up a bit. And I rolled up my driveway, would have been close to 3 o'clock in the morning, I would imagine. And then slept and then got up that morning and I took my trash down to the street right there at the end of that road there where that big dumpster is. Took my trash there, went back, had breakfast in my apartment, and then I left to go do groceries and laundry and stuff around, I want to say about 10:30 that morning. And then I stayed out there, and that's when I actually got the text message from my buddy Dave that something had happened. He got the vandal alert because he's a on campus. And he had said, hey man, I got a vandal alert. There's been a murder on your street. And I was on my way in from doing laundry. That's when the cops and everybody was there around 12:30, 1 o'clock, whatever time that was. But yeah, that was, where I was and stuff that evening prior, and then in the morning time too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, just to back up a little bit. So I just want to confirm your address. What is your
All right, so here's the background on David Jansen Jr. Looks like he is an instructor, foundations at Washington State University. He's been there for 8 years. University of Idaho, 2 years. Master of Fine Arts, Studio and Design, Saginaw State Valley University, Bachelor's of Fine Arts. And he's an artist and educator from Cass City, Michigan. So that's a little bit of background on him. So obviously he was close to he probably lives at 500 Queen Road, I'm guessing.
My address is.
all right? And what vehicle were you driving?
So the same car I drove here today. It's a.
Is this the guy in the Audi?
No, that's great cars.
Yeah.
I had a 86, so same thing as the first car for me.
Oh,
so.
no.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. And what color is it? Excellent. Okay. And you said you were out bar hopping with some friends. What were their names again?
We went to, I'm trying to retract the night now. We've talked about all of this and how peculiar this is because we were in that main street. We might have walked by those kids or whatever too.
Yep.
But me and my buddy, we had a drink at we walked over to Mills, and that's where we shot pool and stuff most of the evening. That's where my buddy Kyle met us.
So they were at
And then we
Mingles.
stayed there for quite a while, and then we decided to walk down to just to kind of close the night.
Sure. Okay. I'm sorry. Last name again.
And if you guys need their numbers or anything, I can give those to you.
If you have those, that'd be awesome. Can we start with Dave?
Yep. Let me look this up here.
Sure.
This is redacted. I wonder why. This guy has a long... This is redacted. I'll show you this real quick. Look at his resume. On and on and on and on and on and on and on. We'll go back to the interview. It's still redacted. Let me fast forward this and see if...
Maybe a silly question.
Sure.
But it was part of my life, just for talk with these guys. Do you know, are they both residents here in Idaho?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Excellent. All right. That just helps me when I go to verify. I can look at the driver's license. So it's super easy. If it's I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, obviously, or the obvious questions. Did you know any of the victims? Okay. Were any of them in any of your classes?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, it's one of those things too. When I saw their photos and stuff, you know, I just, obviously my heart goes out to everybody. I don't know how many students I've had over the years. I don't remember them being in the class of mine or anything.
Well, you said didn't know him, you hadn't spent any time with him outside of the classroom or anything like that, any personal labor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never ran into him on the street or anything.
No, I mean, there's the one thing I remember talking to the investigative reporter from the Idaho Statesman like last week or so, and he was wondering about like if I'd ever seen them around, and that area back there. I was telling him the same thing, is that there's so many students and stuff when it's a normal like warm weather semester. I mean, it's possible I could have drove by and they were out somewhere one time or something, but I just can't, you know, recall really.
Sure.
But I never had any interactions or anything with them for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, and you bring that up, so now I'm just curious. So, reporters have been out canvassing or knocking on doors? Or?
Yeah, just kind of, I've noticed there's some of them are just kind of like waiting for people to park, and then they're just assuming like, oh, you live here, let me talk to you.
Sure.
But that was Kevin, I can't remember his last name, but I talked to him last week. But other than that, everybody's been pretty chill back there too, and staying off the roads and stuff, because it's getting kind of gnarly back there with the ice and stuff.
Yes, it is. I was actually just in your apartment prior calling, and that's pretty nasty, that little hill parking lot area where you guys are forced to.
I don't know what the grade is back there. It's crazy. In the winter time.
Well, and actually the one above you, where it comes to that S corner.
Forget
I can only imagine people end up in your apartment.
Oh, totally. Yeah, a couple of years ago, that's exactly. People were coming down there, and it was just too slick, and you slide until you can't go anywhere, and you just kind of go off a little berm.
Oh, man. All right. Well, anything that I haven't asked that you might think is useful or wish to know about?
Yeah, I don't think so. I was thinking about this just after I had got that call today, and I don't know how many of the neighbors you guys have really talked to, as far as like the Queen Road, all those apartments. Mm-hmm. But I know like the person who lives right next to me, I've never seen them before. That there's nothing I can really think of. When all of this happened, I was talking to my mom and stuff on the phone, trying to think like when I was coming up that drive, you know, early in that morning, I didn't notice anything or see anything out of the ordinary.
Sure.
The same thing in the morning when I took my trash down the road, it was just so quiet. And I just remember seeing all the trash and stuff there, and I don't know if that had been emptied immediately after all that stuff happened, but I know that there was a report or something that the police had kind of went through trash and stuff, but I remember throwing my trash in there just going, Jesus, somebody needs to fucking pick this up. But I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, you know, that I normally would on a Sunday morning, you know.
Yeah. And you have for me, when did you say you threw your trash in there?
This would have been about probably 9 a.m. or 9:30 or something like that, early when I got up.
So what time do you think you came home?
From doing like grocery shopping and stuff?
No, before that. So you said you were out at the bars and waited to
this would have been probably close to 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. So if I were to say that we had seen your vehicle in the area around 2:48 a.m.
That makes sense.
That'd be about right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. That makes sense.
Cool. Okay.
Just out of curiosity, since you live so close, is that house typically pretty with a lot of parties?
They're usually, it's very busy, that house, and then the ones that are at the end of King Road, that like little, I don't know, cul-de-sac or whatever you want to call it, that one's usually just hopping with people. So that one, and then the one that was a newer build, it's kind of like adjacent to that one that nobody's been really there since all this happened.
Okay.
And as far as I know, it's all undergrad students and stuff that live back there, but on the weekends, and I told the reporter this too, because he was wondering about the frequency of parties and stuff. I said, usually it's like stuff starts like Thursday night and it just goes all weekend until you just don't hear nothing on Sunday because everybody's sleeping in or whatever.
Yep.
But that's in my experience. And I've lived back there this is coming up on 5 that I live back there. It's just the same.
Yeah.
Whether the students are coming in and out or if it's the same students or whatever, it's just the environment back there. That's how it's always been. And it's so weird now. It's just so quiet back there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I would imagine like if anybody's telling you that those houses are like not that, it's just not the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could, if I don't know how many people you guys have talked to in that apartment complex, but they'd probably tell you the same thing. That it's a little rowdy back there, but
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a mixed message, but the majority of people kind of tend to do. I mean, it's college. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I mean, that's certainly
it's part of it.
It's part of the experience. So, okay, awesome. If you don't mind me asking, what type of you said you're an artist, what type of art? Or what
Yeah.
That's redacted, but he just said something that made me think about something else. I'm going to pull up the video. I'm going to get what you guys think about this. Unrelated.
Excellent. Well, and I got to ask because I can hear the accent a bit. So, where are you from?
Michigan.
Oh yeah, so you hear it.
Oh yeah. Okay, excellent.
Yeah, that's all my students, they comment the same thing when I start talking.
Yep.
There are certain phrases I have too. They're like, what is that? I remember I said something about like the night before Halloween one time about being like Devil's Night. They're like, what?
Yep.
And I go, you guys don't do that? They're like, no. I go, okay, that's good. That's good.
Yep. Yeah. Well, excellent.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah.
Anything that you can think of?
Sure.
Excellent. Well, like I said, that really helps us
hammer
this down because not only are we focused on, of course, I'm sure you've seen the news press release of that one white car.
Right.
We want to talk to those people as well.
Yeah.
But any other vehicle that we see, we want to just
totally. That makes sense.
We can make sure that we talk to and identify anybody with those vehicles as well. So, excellent. Well, thank you very much for taking your time out. Come talk with us.
Yeah.
Get you out of here.
If you guys need anything else, just let me know.
Excellent.
I don't live too far.
All right.
All right. I don't live too far. Now, let me ask you, chat. Do you remember the video cam that they go up and they talk to the guy at 1118? Does anybody remember whose body cam that is? It wasn't House. It wasn't Rosinski, because I remember he talks with the individual. I don't think it was Rosinski. Later on in the day. Who was it that it just dawned on me? We know that it was around 2:15. Was it Warner? I don't think it was. Warner never left the front door. All right. Who was it that went and knocked on the door? It's not. Is it Snyder? Anybody? Drop it in the chat. I don't think it's this one. He goes and he talks to the guy at the door. That's not his. Who was it? Rosie? Was it Snyder? But what body cam? 2 or 3? He goes up right to the door, and the young kid tells him exactly what he heard. And he tells him exactly what time he heard it. Because I'm thinking all this happened was before 3. All of it. The fighting, the yelling, the screaming, the oh my God, what happened? I'm going to guess Snyder too. Snyder walks right up to the guy at the door and he tells him. It had to have been Snyder. He was telling everybody not to leave. He was telling people to stay in. He was monitoring everybody. But he goes right up to this house and he talks to the guy there. Snyder. I've already gone through 3 of his body cams. I think he only had 3. 1, 2, 3. Was it? It couldn't have been 1. 1, he's going through the house. I don't think he left the house on 1. Yeah, he didn't leave the house. So it could have been 6. Maybe it's 6. I know he goes talks to those girls. Maybe it's 6. Hold on. He goes to the purple house. Goes there. Is that Barachoa? Where is this? He goes right up to the house. Here it is.
Yeah.
They left at 3 a.m. and then I came back around 5 a.m.
They're not gonna go.
And we all came home around
You think they're not gonna go person? Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay.
And so her room is like right next to me.
And that was till about 5 a.m.?
Well, they left at 3.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Hey guys.
Yeah.
Have you talked to all your roommates and stuff like that?
Yeah, we
Okay.
kind of got the whole, nobody like know what's going on. Yeah.
Okay. Did anybody hear anything last night? Anything like that? Something suspicious this morning? Anything?
I fell asleep around like 11, and then I woke up around like 2 to like some yelling.
At 2?
Yeah, around like 2 or 3 to like some yelling.
2 or 3?
But it didn't sound like it was right over here. It sounded like it was more down this way.
Okay.
So I don't really know. But that's really all I've ever heard. So
It wasn't right over here, like in front of the house, right? So it had to been, he was pointing back the other way.
What was your first name, man?
I'm here. I got it.
And last name?
I haven't got an email.
And did birth grade?
99.
Okay. So if he is standing facing the whites and he says, hold on.
Around like 2 to like some yelling.
At 2?
Yeah, around like 2 or 3 to like some yelling. But it didn't sound like it was right over here.
It doesn't sound like it's right over here. Remember, he's facing the campus and the whites.
It sounded like it was more down this way.
Okay.
So I don't really know. But that's really all I've ever heard. So.
What was your first name, man? And last name? And did birth grade?
99.
Phone number for you? And what's your address here? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
If anything else comes up or if anybody remembers anything, make sure you guys give us.
All right. Between 2. Let's just see. I'm going to go back just a tiny bit. Got his address. It's 1119 right there. Let me see if I can get back a little further. I want to see if that is the guy who went off to the military. The guy who allegedly moves out that morning. I think they've... Why is there ghost? They still have Halloween decorations on their windows. See all the ghosts in the windows? Window licker. Oh. Was it the guy who went off into the military? I'll have to look back. I'll see if I can go slow and capture that. It sounded like it came more this way. Maybe he was pointing the other way. But even if it started at 2:15, 2:17, my time frame starts at 2:10, 2:15. That's all I've ever heard. So that's all I've heard. I wonder what he heard. If he was up and awake and he heard yelling, what exactly did he hear? A window licker. Yes, Sarah, get well, get well. I don't have email from you, Sarah, so try again. I just checked my spam too. I don't see anything in there. Feel free to send it to phoenixinvestigates@proton.me. Yeah, I certainly don't see this guy's, even if they could have squeaked him in there on slow. So I'm still going to stay with my timeline that everything happened before 3, and at 3 o'clock, the whole shenanigans with the Banfield maybe was another distraction. Probably. I'm wondering. I don't think they're going to get us. I just wanted to try to get a little glimpse of this guy to benchmark it against the other picture that I have. Nope. Nope. Can't even see what he's wearing. Shoot. Well, I think I know this guy's name, obviously. We've done a little deep dig on him, a live deep dig. Almost there. Almost had a little glance. Shoot. Can't go any slower than that. Looks like a basketball player. Looks kind of tall. Pretty tall there. Nope, they blocked out his face. Just a little tiny glimpse. Dang it. I'll still try to get this. I'm going to try to benchmark it against the name I have to see if it matches. But as soon as K, G, and M got home, I believe it too. Okay, you resent it. Let me see if I've got it. Oh, here it is. Found the mystery truck. Sent on August 7th. Okay, let me just see. It was parked on 6 on Taylor. What? Wait a minute. So this is this one? Holy moly. You think it's fire department related, but it could be an older fire department vehicle donated for WWAMI program for training. Wow. Okay, so Sarah, where are you? It might show up as second link because the truck is attached. Okay, hold on a second. Let me take a look at this. No, that's a picture of a bird. You sent me a picture of a bird. Okay. Oh, that could be. It could be. The truck is different though. It's black and gold. It's black and gold. Let me see this one. That's a bird. Yeah, it kind of looks like this because even if it's an older model, and let me show you what I'm talking about. Even if it was an older model, it might have been a different color. And maybe that's why the fire department somehow got mixed up in all this. So let me show you the picture that she found on Taylor. It could be an older picture. It's the same type of the little swoosh and the up and then the fire department. It could have been the fire department that showed up. Let me see if you guys can see this. It's close. It is close. One said it was the campus police over at U of I. And then this one kind of resembles that similar pattern that we were looking for prior. Absolutely, that is possible. That's a good eye. Very good eye. It's parked near Taylor. That is possible. Wow. The next screenshot, you guys want to see the bird? She's the only one who drives it. She's working today. I could take pictures to see if that helps. Chief McCarson's. The stripes look too dark, but when I first saw the photo, it reminded me of red, just like hers. I don't know. That's the treehouse, yeah, on Taylor. I'm wondering, in fact, when you listen to Broadcastify and you ate something bad, oh girl, I've been dealing with this for months. Please tell me what the bird is and what the college is. Ooh, I don't know. Let me bring this up again. Screenshot this. What bird? WSU's Cougars. Bird. Okay, tell me what gives with the bird. What does the bird have to do with it? Where was this bird? Where did you see this bird? This bird. Oh, yeah. We're talking about that too. A Chief Battalion Riggs. That's from our friend the painter. Oh, KS Jensen Art. Hold on, let me look. Let me just see. Oh. Let me see. What kind of bird is that? Anybody in the chat know? Ooh, Freedom Friday. We could talk about whatever we want. I don't see what kind of bird that is. A dodo bird? A robin. Oh, maybe a robin. Eastern Washington are the eagles. Looks like an owl. It's an owl. A red spotted owl. Let me see. Oh, hey. Also, this popped up. Hold on a minute. This popped up with the last guy's interview. Listen to this. Yes, the Sisters KS Jensen Art has 4 people with wings, and this bird is up on top. It's an owl, maybe. So this guy, the David Jansen, 32, this was back when they interviewed him. This was the Idaho Statesman. And he says he lived in that area for 5 years at the apartment complex adjacent to the rental home, so it had to have been Queen Road. Confirmed that the fraternity and sorority members appear to dominate the tightly packed neighborhood. The surrounding Greek life environment contributed to what those familiar with the neighborhood, including Jansen, described in interviews with the Statesman as a loud party culture in the conjoined dead-end streets of King and Queen Roads. This has always been a party place since I've lived here, always, said Sean Henley, 34, a nearly lifelong Moscow resident and a maintenance person for the adjacent apartment complex. Now that is one of the maintenance guys that we located, that found the alleged blood over at Jack Showalter's apartments. Okay. He was the maintenance guy, guys. He was the maintenance guy. Sean, I think his name's Alexander Henley. No? I think he is one of the guys that I found a mugshot for, but I wasn't sure if that was him. I have to get confirmation. But he's the maintenance guy. Wild. So they interviewed him and David Jansen, the U of I graduate student. Noise complaints for loud music since August, and they came night home in September, and they had 2 more noise complaints. So yeah, interesting. All right, so back to this little owl. This owl, let's see what I can see. Let's see if I can find it. What time is it? 1:22. Let's see what this owl is. It says it's a red bird cottage owl. A red bird cottage owl. Let me see if I can find one. Red bird cottage owl. I don't see anything else that looks like that except for this one. This is kind of funny. You're going to be like, what in the world did you find? Look at this. Temple University has a owl mascot. Eastern Washington University? I don't know. A red cottage. Oh, it's not popping up. Hold on. Red cottage. It says red cottage owl. No, I don't see any other ones. Let's see. Red cottage owl mascot. Let's see who anybody is the mascot. Let me see. Mascot. Colorado-based artist Don Derman. I don't know. I don't see anything as a mascot. That's a great question. And KS Jensen Art, I think she left. Maybe I'll message her and I'll ask her where she painted that at. Like a barn owl that prefer cottage living instead. Yeah, bird watching. It's from her page called Sisters. Yeah, I'll ask her where she got that idea. I don't see mascots. I don't see anybody that has a owl as a mascot. It's not the Cardinals. Red cottage. That's a different looking bird, though. I've never seen that. Maybe she has those birds in her area. I'll ask her and maybe she can get us an answer. All right, y'all. Is there anything else you want to talk about today? You got about 5 minutes. Yeah, I talk with her. Yeah, I'll ask her. Maybe somebody else can too. Yeah, I'll message her and I'll ask her where she saw it or what gave her that idea. Beautiful painting too. And this is the part of it. Yes, do you like AI? All right. Well, thank you everyone for the 8,000. We learned some interesting things today, some facts and some truth. And, you know, this community definitely comes here to find more facts and more truth. You guys rock. You have been the best. Have a great, fabulous, fantastic Friday. And before I go, I always give you one video of wow, right? There's a lot going on in the true crime world. There's a lot going on. Luigi Mangione did in fact plead guilty. And here is the video that I made this morning. It should be on YouTube in case you want to know a little bit more about what's happening there. Luigi Mangione just pled guilty. But wait, this doesn't mean the entire case is over. And what happens next could be the biggest legal fight ever. He just pled guilty in federal court to 2 stalking charges resulting in death involving the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson. But here's the huge part. The New York State murder case is separate. So now we have 1 killing, but 2 sovereign governments involved. And I know what you're thinking. Phoenix, what about double jeopardy? Well, that's where it gets fascinating. The Constitution of the United States generally allows separate state and federal prosecution under what's called dual sovereignty doctrine. But New York has its own protections concerning successive prosecutions. So don't assume the answer is automatically yes, New York can prosecute him. And here's another issue people need to watch. What did Luigi actually admit under oath? A guilty plea isn't just checking a box. A federal plea record could become extremely important as his lawyers continue fighting the state prosecution. See, exact words matter, charges matter, and the exceptions under New York law matter. The bigger story is what happens to the New York murder case now. Can New York proceed? Can the defense stop it? And what happens with sentencing? I want to know what you think. Should New York still be allowed to put Mangione on trial after his federal guilty plea? Type yes or no in the comments. Leave me your thoughts. Did this guilty federal plea shock you today? Didn't shock me. You know the drill. Be well. Luigi Mangione just pled guilty. But wait. Sorry. Okay. So one more thing, obviously, before we go. I always share a little hope, and I saw this video and I thought I have got to share it with you guys. This is probably the cutest video I have seen this week.
Can you move over, buddy?
I love it. I love it. That picture at the end is classic. I love it. Could you imagine coming to someone's house in this little tiny burrito? That's what I call them. Come up to you with the sweater and won't let you leave the package. And then this is what you see at your door. I thought that was so freaking cute. You know, I always share the good stuff with you as well as the not so great stuff. So you guys have a great, fantastic week. Tomorrow If you guys have not been watching on the Lindsay Clancy, tomorrow I am going to have a live. I don't know how long this live is going to be. We're going to do a recap, because if you know anything about the Lindsay Clancy trial going on, the strategy that the defense has been putting on for the last 13 days is crazy. Kevin Reddington's strategy, folks. Oh my gosh. If you have not been listening to this trial, you guys are missing out. I'm going to do a recap tomorrow, because he's not defending, and he's not arguing that her children didn't die by her hand. She's already said that I'm guilty. She's already given a plea. Okay? That's not what this case is about. Kevin, he's 75, right? His argument in the defense is because of the severe mental illness, she may not have been legally capable of understanding or controlling what she was doing at the time. And Kevin is arguing and building that argument piece by piece. First, he's been showing the jury that Lindsay's documented decline, severe insomnia, depression after the birth, intrusive thoughts, suicidal thinking, and reported hallucinations. And then second, he's walking the jury through the long list of meds that she was prescribed and the rapid changingly treatments worsened an already deteriorating mental state. But he's also challenging the care she received, the video appointments, incomplete medical records, missing warning signs, her discharge from psychiatric treatment just weeks before her death. And if you know anything about this case, 3 days before this event took place, her husband was out of town for 2 days. On the third day, he returned, and he has been said that this happened in a matter of 15 minutes. All right. Now, I don't know if she's covering for this guy, but this guy is just, in my humble opinion, the defense is poking holes in even his story on the stand. If you've not been watching this, it is freaking wild. So here's the legal twist most people are missing. Once criminal responsibility is properly raised in Massachusetts, it's the prosecution, the Commonwealth, to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Lindsay was criminally responsible. Now, all these videos and these viral TikToks of he's guilty, he did this, even that little tiny video that I shared, I think it was just this one, right? I put everything on this video. I can't believe how many views it's got, like tons. And I just put the money part, because here's something else that I saw. It's not just about the holes that were poked in the testimony of his own and his wife's to come and the doctors to come, because the twist is Reddington doesn't need the jury to excuse what happened. He just needs them to say, no, she was suffering from X, Y, and Z. And the thought, the reasonable doubt that it wasn't her doing has already been set into freaking motion. This guy is a genius. This was calculated. The prosecution said that what she did was calculated. He is on the stand as her attorney, not disputing what happened. He's fighting why it happened and if she's legally responsible. And I don't think so. In my opinion, I think her husband did this. It was calculated, and he shoved her with his feet out of this window. And this is how she got these injuries. And I can't wait for the next court date to hear this from the doctor. What was her first point of impact? Clancy's documented injuries below match the story we've been told. I went back to the hospital to the actual documented injuries, and there's one question I can't get past. This is the evidence that was presented in court. Her major trauma is concentrated on her C1 and C4 cervical spine, thoracic spine, and chest. And let me show you. She suffered a C1 burst fracture, a bilateral C4 lamina fractures, and a catastrophic T5 and T6 3-column fracture, additional thoracic injuries, and obviously the right first rib fracture, and some other bilateral injuries. But here's what makes me stop. The hospital injury summary list does not document fractures of the feet, the ankles, the tibia, the fibula, the femur, the pelvis, or even the skull. Now, there's one other piece of evidence to examine carefully, especially the testimony describing the blood at the bedroom window. That doesn't prove that Lindsay was pushed. It doesn't prove that she was jumping out the window, and it doesn't prove exactly how she landed. And I've put a lot of thought into this. And one thing for sure that I'll say is that this raises a forensic question that I would love answered by the experts that I haven't seen yet. What was her first point of impact? Not where she was ultimately found, what part of her body hit first. And does that impact explain the extraordinary concentration of spinal and chest trauma that we see that she has in the courtroom? So think about this. Because jumped, fell, dropped, or was propelled are not automatically the same biomechanical event. I want to see the complete reconstruction, window height, distance from the house, exterior evidence, landing position, CT imaging, fracture mechanics, and the first point of impact. Until then, I'm asking questions, not declaring what happened. What do you think the evidence should be able to tell us? Drop your comments and your thoughts. You know the drill. Be well. So the reason I want to see this is because not only is that part of her medical condition, but what made her decide to jump out the window and her injuries on her wrists, especially the way they found the knife. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of evidence. And I think the defense attorney is doing two things at once. He is making everyone question if she even did this. It is wild. I have never seen a case like this. Y'all, be well. Stay tuned. I'm going to put that live up for tomorrow if you want to do a rehab and a recap and a refresh. And remember, he was logged in. And there's so much more to this. The amazing search that they did on the Surface Pro. Guys, I can't make this up. The Cyber Crimes Division was the one they called in to break down what was on this Surface Pro. Why would they even get involved with something like that? What does the cyber crimes really deal with? Be well, y'all. I'm going to leave you hanging. Who broke down his computer? Labor and delivery nurse, she wouldn't need to have to Google all the stuff that was Googled. I think it was truly him. And I don't think if it was him, she shouldn't take the fall. And I think there's so much more to this. Think about who's doing the investigation, folks. Something is much bigger than what we're seeing. Be well.
He's innocent, and it's up to the state to bring evidence and a jury to decide if that's different.
Essentially convicted in the media. You don't have to read but a few articles to see how negative they are about him. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian is innocent.
They call it the August effect. A quiet pull, a heart's compass, finding its gravitation. A promise whispered to the future. Sunrise paints the window pane a hazy gold. A story in my chest that's waiting to unfold. Used to trace the lines of maps I'd never seen. Now the greenest pasture grows from deep within. Letting go of every anchor, every chain, washing off the dust in cool September rain. This is the freedom, wild and new, the future calling, breaking through. A heart's true north, the sky of blue. This is the promise coming true. The road ahead is unwritten, vast and wide. No need to run, no reason left to hide. Every step a choice, every breath my own. On this open field of chances I have sown. This is the freedom, loud and new. The future calling, breaking through. A heart's true north, a sky of blue. This is a prominent true. The August effect, I understand it now. It's the faith you find somehow. The promise coming true for you. The greenest pasture.